We'll turn it the other way, but should be good. Oh, okay, we're live. Is that it? Is that what's happening? Hello, everyone who eventually joins.
Hey guys.
We do have volume meters there, so I think we are being picked up. I think
So.
Yeah.
It's whatever it is.
Oh my
Eventually.
God.
Live from Los Angeles, huh?
Yes. Let's see. Yeah, it's not the most perfect tripod for this one, but it's the only one that will actually. There we go.
How many hours in the face?
There we go. All right. Okay.
Well,
Yeah. So this is like 30 minutes after meeting for the first time, and I think
in person.
everyone, I guess they might review this or get viewers yet. We are the tallest people in the watch community. I'm at average height. We got young Brando here at slightly above average height. I think it's.
I think Junior is quite tall for his age.
Yeah, Junior's tall. So I got my son here in LA. It's like you can see, just waiting on some hot dogs. Yeah, I did meet a watch reporter in Las Vegas.
Right.
Is that what you knew him as, Mr. King Tut?
Yeah, he kept changing the name for a little while, I guess, but that's what he goes by now.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be his most. But he's got like 5 different channels or something like that. I know you don't talk about other people. I'm just talking about in context of watch community. It's like
Right, I don't
he
care.
was somewhere around like 5, 6, something like that.
But yeah, I remember when I went to Watch Time in New York.
Yeah.
I heard a similar comment from someone. I won't name him.
Okay.
But he basically said, like, you know, why is everyone so short and overweight?
Short and overweight. Yeah. Well, the only characters that are overweight are like the main characters, unfortunately. There's one person I won't mention, and then one person I will. You know, we're both big fans of AC3.
Yeah.
That's what really brought us together, I think. There's room for one asshole in the community, not many, not multiple. He's the only one who deserves a little bit of respect.
So I try to be on my best behavior for that reason. Look, I mean, when it comes to watch content, independent watch content as well, on YouTube, Archie Luxury was on the vanguard. You know, he was one of the first, if not the first. And in the live streaming space too, on watches, like, you know, he did it really before anyone else really got their hands on it, got messy with it.
Quite amazing. I don't know how well the microphones are holding up, but we're in a pretty noisy environment.
I hope you guys can hear us, and if not, please let us know in the chat.
G'day, Maldives.
Hey, Maldives.
Yeah. So downtown LA, guys. We're risking our lives for this one. I'm risking my offspring, my firstborn. If you spot any spotters around us, any stream snipers, you let us know.
You know, I mean, Arts District, as far as downtown goes, is probably one of the more shishi and safe spots. Even when people get drunk, this is a pretty safe environment. We do come from the edge of Koreatown. That's where we arrived from.
Let's try and get a little bit of ourselves in view. I think without putting
that would help.
Without putting
that would help.
More risk onto.
That would probably help.
I brought the worst tripod.
But guys, while we are at it, please hit the like button. You know, 3 likes for almost 30 viewers. That's not good.
Right here. We got a bratwurst. We got a bockwurst in the middle. Awesome. Veggie wurst right here.
Thank you.
And here's a curry ketchup. Try that one out. See if you like it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna commit like entertainment heresy by eating on camera.
Right.
Real food.
I'm usually very, very prissy about that, as you guys know, but I'm gonna break my own rules.
Hey Junior, which one of these do you want? So we got some gourmet basic dogs, basically.
Yeah, and I got the vegan version of that, plant-based, as always. I think it's Beyond, or maybe Impossible. I have no clue. I actually forgot. We usually, I forgot that you had to specify that. Usually, I order it with the peppers.
Like onions or something.
Yeah.
I'm good like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's great in either case.
I think this is more authentic, isn't it? Like, I mean, I don't think the Germans
Probably.
are throwing like tons of fried onions on it.
No, I think it's more the Italian way, honestly, to put like, you know, hot peppers and onions and whatever else onto it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's only in America that I've seen it that you do like crazy stuff. No,
Oh
it's
my God.
nothing relevant yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, is that
Someone
Amir- Amir
says-
someone you know?
no. I mean,
Only
my
mustard.
condolences, I guess. My condolences. That's the only thing I can say. Hopefully that's not true. I want to say, but
Hello, Jay Gray sweater. Hey, Junior, don't make me turn it off. Have your hot dog, okay? Don't make me eat the whole thing. We'll see.
Captain America.
only mustard at all
Oh my god.
at the whole stadium. What is it?
But Talfleet, Aussie, we have that extra spot on Friday for FPPJ. Stay another night. Yeah, I'll look at it. Unfortunately, I did book all max economy versions of everything. You know, it's not a family holiday. It's like really guilty just for me type thing. So I just did all economy. So I think any adjustment will come at a pretty hefty price. But my weekend did kind of free up. Like my daughter's birthday is on the Monday, and my wife decided not to do a birthday thing on the weekend. So my weekend did free up. So I'll inquire. Stars have to align, but we'll see. I do have to be back in Las Vegas for Sunday still. Minecraft comes out, and I promised my son to go see Minecraft with his 3 friends.
See, guys, I'm a single degenerate, and he's a good father, so we have a sort of balance going on.
But thank you, Patel, and thank you for getting everyone psyched up about Geneva, because, you know, this year I wanted to do it. I'm just glad that so many people are jumping in as well. I'm here in LA because you're not going.
I appreciate
I heard he wasn't going, so I'm like, I gotta, like, this can't be the year that I don't see young Brando.
Well, you know, you have the Jay Gray, you have the most important review. They got their Michelin star already.
They got a Michelin star.
I think already, like, you know, within like a year's opening or something. No, I mean,
I think it's achievable. I mean, I remember watching Gordon Ramsay open his new restaurant, you know, when it was on. I can't remember what like his first TV show was called. It was like Head of the Kitchen or something. It was the first one.
not House Kitchen.
No, he was still working.
Yeah.
At, I can't remember one restaurant. There was a little bit of an exodus, and he started up his own restaurant. He got I think 2 Michelin stars on his first review. I think it's pretty calculable what it takes to get 1 Michelin star. 2 and 3 seems like a real, because 1 just means you got the food right. Like, those factors are a little bit more controllable.
Honestly, I've never really looked into it.
Try.
No thanks.
And it's
You want chips?
chips, fries.
Chips?
Maybe that's easier to eat. You know, you can pick a piece there. We have some interesting ketchup here.
Oh, these are good. They look good. Oh, look at these. These are proper fries.
Belgian style, amazing.
Oh, they are. They are. Those are good.
MD Chaz says
Those
any
are-
lowriders cruising by. Not this part of downtown.
We be blasting? Is that what you're asking? We be blasting?
where I live, yeah, you sometimes see, like, you know, Broadway, Spring, Broadway especially is the street where you would say see some lowriders.
Interesting. Yeah, I told my son, keep your eyes on the lookout because, you know, he's played a lot of Grand Theft Auto. So I'm like, this is where Grand Theft Auto is based, Junior. This is where you might have, like, killed a few people, drove over a few cops, something like that. A little bit of fun. Not that we'll do that in the minivan, but we'll get there.
That's an interesting parallel, though. I remember coming to America, arriving in New York, and the only things I could recognize, of course, about the city were basically from the movies. So it's interesting that the next generation, you know, it's Grand Theft Auto, it's some video.
Right. Yeah. And there'll be a new game coming out. It'll be a little bit more authentic.
Funny enough, the first Grand Theft Auto I played was Grand Theft Auto 2, I think, at the time. It was like, you know, complete bird's eye view.
Yes.
And there was the Easter egg of that game, I remember now very vividly, was that you would walk, or rather pull your car into a parking lot that had the blinking neon sign that said Jesus saved, and it would save the game.
Oh, okay.
So
it might have been GTA. I think GTA 2 was a little bit harder to get. And, but GTA 2 is a really good game. Really, really interesting. There's a lot of parts of it that I wish I brought back. It was still top down. It was really good.
I think that was the one I played.
Yeah.
I think.
It had like 3 different gangs. Zaibatsu and
I think that was it.
White Red.
But you have to realize, like, you know, when I was playing those games, I was literally just learning English, and mostly learning English through those games.
All right. Wow.
You know, who knows what I understood, what I thought I was doing.
There was never like it was just.
I have no clue.
NATO says you can eat Michelin star boat noodles from a portable food cart in Bangkok. Yeah, Michelin star is not. Yeah, there's a few factors. I mean, for example, there are no Michelin star restaurants in Las Vegas, but for sure there's many multiple star Michelin level restaurants in Las Vegas. They just don't have a guide for Las Vegas. It's just not.
That used to be the case for Southern California until like 3-5 years ago, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
And, you know, people in Los Angeles were livid about that because, you know, inevitably a lot of people here compare themselves to New York.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when New York has something like, you know, fine dining, food culture, that we also feel like we have.
Fine dining, guys.
You know, people get self-conscious and aggravated about that. Like, you know, why does New York and East Coast have these things and we don't, even though we deserve it just as much.
Well, it's perhaps very confusing for Las Vegas because a lot of the restaurants are actually New York clones.
Yeah.
Like they'll literally be another arm of the New York restaurant in Las Vegas, and it's like, is this not? Yeah. So it's just about the guide, and then there's certainly politics. I mean, there's observations like how many French restaurants are in the Michelin guide, as an example. Good. The place is overpriced and the lines are immense, and they don't have a practice board. I'm not exactly sure what you're on to, Jay.
I think he's asking about that Bangkok.
Oh, right. Okay.
Ow! No. Ooh. Yeah.
I'm not that fascinated by how to say the Michelin guide stuff, but I am interested in fine dining here and there. That might only be like 3 or 4 times a year.
Honestly, you know, in my case, I've never really looked into that kind of stuff. You know, for me, even when I was an omnivore, so to speak, the most interesting places were always holes in the wall, casual spots, street food. So
Oh, this is a classy stream though. I've got cloth napkins for hot dogs.
Amazing. I
No,
don't.
it's mine.
This guy comes prepared. You know, cloth napkins and whatever else.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, cloth napkin. It's the way to go. Hey, I paid, what, $12 for a hot dog? It's already...
Thank you.
It's already getting up to that level, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you can get most anything in Los Angeles for less than 10 to begin with.
I gotta say, this is actually very good. Like, the texture is, like, unlike most sausages in USA, which I rate as being basically garbage. I'm a big sausage guy, but if in America, not so much. Typically.
I'm glad it hit the right spot.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like if I was sitting in Switzerland right now and this was the hot dog they gave me, well, it wouldn't be a hot dog bun like this, but I'd actually be this would be pretty good.
Would it be off color for me to grab a beer?
You can go ahead. I'll not drink, but if they got water,
I understand.
I'll,
or do you want, if they have it, some kind of soda, sparkling, something like that?
yeah, surprise me.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna get wet up in here. So what do we got today? We got submariner. It's about the most I would risk on a trip like this.
No, it's coming.
I think it's fine. It's so iconic that for the most part, people think it'd be a fake. So this is our first time meeting. It's like years in the making. I'm trying to think when's the first time Lord and I were on stream together. It's got to be a few years now.
I know.
Actually, you could probably work it out. It was like the first time that Lord decided to break out on his own and stop going. So maybe if you went to his live stream section and found like the earliest live streams, it's probably when we first met. I probably was on a few of those shows, those earlier ones. Jay Gray's water. Nothing beats a smoked sausage from Krug's in Tavistock, Ontario. Okay. Canada, I'm guessing. Is that where we are?
Oh, wait, though. Oh, wait, take one, then I'll go.
This is really good. And the mustard here is fantastic. That is genuinely good. Are the tips good?
This guy using thinking that he uses. Stop. Stop.
So, take off for Romania on Thursday next week. I'll be somewhere near the Ukrainian border. Oh, thank you.
I got a big appetite, so I ordered some more fries as well.
Lovely.
And I got you some lemonade.
Gentlemen, yes. Thank you.
Prost, guys.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you. Awesome. Finally.
Yeah, I was saying, like, how long has it been? And I realized it's probably not too long after you split off from Archie's stream. So
Yeah.
probably like one of your first streams, probably around the time we first met.
Absolutely. You know, you were there from the get-go.
Mhm.
From the get-go.
I always gravitated you because you seemed like the most honest, with integrity and knowledge. It's like, hey, you can't beat this guy.
That's too much praise all at once. I don't know how to take it. But thank you. I appreciate it.
I can only offer the honesty.
You know, for my part, I try to. I'm not gonna be humble about my knowledge. Everything else is for other people to judge. You know, I just try to bring the passion and the knowledge, and I think that usually allows me to make connections with other people. And it, you know, we were just talking about the content space in general, and really not talking smack about other people in the watch space, but you know, it's hard to find content that comes from an authentic place, that's intentional, that has some sort of, you know, personality to it. That's not purely for the stage, for the screen.
Right. Well, I think a big problem in our space is actually it cuts both ways. On one side, people just want to be told what to buy in almost all spaces, or reassure them that what they already purchased is fantastic. And the brands, all they want you to do is to sell their watch. So
Just advertise for them.
yeah, so in all of those things, you're not going to garner the most of anything if you are critical of things that are worth criticism, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's. Look, I think there's some hope when we talk about our particular kind of content, because the big guys already have monopolized the primary attention of the brands, and in the downturn of the market, the brands don't really have as much free money, as much resources as they had, like, you know, just a few years back. So now, like, you know, the small to mid-sized content creators in the watch space have to lean on what they know, what they have at hand. I don't think people will continue to get beyond the, you know, Revolution magazines and Hodinkis and whatever else of this world, Monochrome, Fratello, whatever one you're following, Worn and Wound, Time and Tide, I think.
Well, I mean, Hodinkis had a very public,
I got that sweetie.
you know, how would I say, downfall.
Meltdown.
Yeah, very, very public.
Yeah.
Now, some of it is really just because of overextension.
Yeah.
You know,
they got a little too ambitious.
they drew a line into things that weren't really, you know, it was very, very adventurous, and even under good conditions, it may have not gone that well. It was very adventurous.
It is, in a way, like, you know, the good old story of capitalism, right? You know, that someone starts as a kind of mom and pop store, and because of the uniqueness and quality of what they provide, they quickly garner some sort of attention, you know, build a customer base, and then, you know, before you know it, they find themselves overextended, stretched too thin, you know, with God knows how many different franchises and umpteen number of locations where they don't need to be. And yeah, I mean, Hodinkee exactly had that. You know, they had like an exhibition space or some sort of warehouse in New York City that they rented for, I think, 3 years, and put together a grand total of like maybe two different events or something. And you know, beyond that, you know, they also, you know, they wanted to be everywhere. You know, they wanted to be the ones selling the watches, so they, you know, they went out and bought a secondary, you know, dealer, like a second-hand watch sales.
I don't remember.
It was, no, Analog Shift was bought by Watches of Switzerland. The one they bought was Crown and Caliber.
Crown Caliber.
And then, you know, they also started getting authorized dealerships of, again, you know, all the major brands. But they
Which is
really,
wild.
I mean, in and of itself, I think they didn't quite realize that that was actually eating away at the core of their
What's that? What's
business.
that?
That's a curry ketchup. It's like a different flavored ketchup. If you just want ketchup, we'll pour you some right here, or squeeze rather. Right here. That's plain ketchup. That's good old American tomato substitute. Is it?
It's like
Okay.
I feel like
Yes?
we get like my
No? Too much pressure. Just leave it. It's okay, you don't have to say it. Yeah, like, I mean, because... Fantastic. I'm so glad.
I was just giving you a second.
It's
You always
good.
take a second.
We need some time to calibrate our emotions, find out about our feelings. It's good. Junior likes taking his time, like, just like his father, just like me. You guys know I take a long time to talk. But yeah, I mean, because the more you start selling something when you are making content, first of all, the danger is that all the content you make is about sales. Eventually, it can turn into that. And whatever story you are telling, you're also trying to constantly spin that into a sale, turn that into a sale. And that's what Odinki has become. I don't think in the last 3 years I've read a single story or watched a single video produced by Odinki that wasn't trying to sell me something.
Or it's cringeworthy, bad.
Young Kim legend, this, that. That's super.
6 of veggie worst. You like that curry ketchup, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
So that one's chipotle ketchup. That's the good over there.
Thank you. You got round two too.
Oh yeah, so you're gonna touch the pull
Yeah.
over. And so you're gonna touch the pull over, push, or you upload everything and then push it back.
I mean, with the fries, we have already gone round two. So you guys, just as we shared these, in fact, you should focus on this first, Junior, if you like, because these are hot, fresh out of the oven. So you might like that a little bit.
These ones are fresher, if you want. Either way, it's still good too.
Honestly, I mean, the fries are really the highlight of this institution, I have to say. I'm glad you like the sausage.
Yeah, the sausages are really good. The fries are pretty serious. The only other place in America that does fries like pretty consistently well is Five Guys, but they're not for everyone all the time. Like, even my wife could walk away from these. Come on. Do you want a water, Junior? Do you want a water? Yeah.
So guys, if you're just tuning in, Aussie Expat and I are meeting for the first time in person, even though we have done live streams together.
Countless hours.
And we are, the vertical live stream is quite new to this channel anyway, so just drop a like if you like any of what is going on.
Completely unironically, like vertical is the worst mode for this shot. Like, it'd make a lot more sense if we were horizontal, but it's just the way YouTube works. I think basically if you do horizontal, it's like I don't care about it anymore. It feels like that. I mean,
They're certainly pushing the vertical much harder.
yeah. It's like a completely different product. Because you look at the interaction modes that you have as a customer, as a viewer, it's completely different. It surprises me StreamYard doesn't have a way of tapping into that yet, but I think one of the reasons the horizontal has completely died, well, it hasn't completely died, but it's got an uphill battle, is because they want to entice people to look at it first, like because it's live, it's happening now. If you don't get them now, you don't get them. So, but the problem is that extra attention, I think, was used by a lot of bots to just put on replay content.
Right.
And so, like, as the algorithm, it's like, okay, the content's worse than regular videos, and it's not even live anymore, and we can't guarantee that it's live. The vertical stuff, since it's coming directly from the app, they sort of know it's live. I mean, there's still ways you could point the camera at the screen still or something like that. But, yeah.
I mean, I haven't really chased out the logistics, figured out the logistics of it yet, but StreamYard does. I finally found the option that
Oh, it can?
once you open the live stream, set it up,
Yeah.
right before you start, click in settings, you can change between horizontal and vertical.
Okay.
So it can
Okay.
do live streams that are vertical.
So Danny's asking what we're eating. You're the only one left with a dog, so.
We are eating hot dogs. Downtown LA. And Belgian fries.
I've got urban camo on, all black. All black.
Yeah, not quite the Russian tuxedo I was expecting. Close enough. Is the lemonade any good?
Oh, it's good.
Was that an okay choice?
Yeah. Lord this, Lord that.
Yeah. I was just color coordinating, basically. You know, we have fries, we have beer, we have mustard. So somewhere in that realm was the lemonade.
Does the girl pop up on your chat? I can't remember her name. She keeps asking us to do our accent or something like that.
I forget her name as well. No.
She pops up on my rare live streams, but she hasn't been everywhere. Yeah. There's some characters out there. It was only like a year ago that I found out that who's the guy who's always got his shirt off? Not you, not me, not Archie, but the other guy.
How do you mean?
He's what's his name? Jeez, I'm so bad with names.
That woman is Erin, by the way.
Aaron Fletcher, yeah.
Erin Fletcher, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, still surprising.
Oh, wrist check. Wrist check is, we have the AP 14800
So much thinner in real life.
BA, very thin piece.
We got the 12 series. I don't know. I don't know. For this trip, I really wanted to just put away everything in the bank and just have what I would wear to Geneva. And so that was going to be one of the GMTs. But for LA, I was really dreading it. Like, I'll go to, within walking distance of the Ukrainian border next weekend. But, and then Geneva, I mean, that's not a big deal. But I'll do that in a GMT. But LA in a GMT, I don't know. Feel a little bit, not my town. It's not.
No, that's fair.
Seattle, I could do it, but yeah.
No, that's absolutely fair because it's one thing to have that sort of experiential familiarity with a space that can save you a lot of trouble. You can act much, even when things come to worst. You can act with so much more self-certainty and speed. You might have to be much less cautious at that general level of planning.
Yeah.
Compared to somewhere where you are just traveling and it's your first time, second time, third time, whatever it is.
No. In general, I expect Romania to be pretty chill. Like I'm not in a major city. I'll be in.
How familiar are you with Romania beyond the adventures of Brothers Tate?
Yeah. I had a lot of Romanian co-workers, and spent a lot of time with them. Seemed like good guys, basically.
No,
like I've
Romanians
taken
are great people.
taken quite a few to the range. Like come to America, they really want to get their hands on guns. Happy to oblige.
That's funny. I would think it should be easy to get at least some AK-47s.
Yeah, I would have thought too, because I mean, like a lot of the best AKs are from Romania, but look, it's Europe. It's like it's been officially part of the EU since I think 2006,
It's been a while.
maybe
It's been
even
almost 2
2005.
decades.
Yeah, so like 2 decades as an EU country, and there's certain things you can't do as an EU country.
But to be fair, it is, and I don't think there's any shame in that. It is one of the more corrupt European countries, that's for sure. EU country.
Yeah, it's still bewildering why they're part of the EU. I don't know what aspect of it was like really
it's,
necessary.
It's really bewildering to me that EU as a project still exists, but that's another discussion altogether, I think.
Nothing super important. Yeah, I mean, like they're so far from quote unquote really integrated. It seemed like they were added at a time of like EU hype train #1 sort of thing, where if you're not EU, you're not Europe, almost, and that clearly doesn't make a lot of sense. So like, unless you're like going to be part of the Euro, and there's certain trade stuff, but the thing is like, it hasn't been the case that like trade for Romania is just like fully integrated part of the union type stuff. Yeah.
I mean, this would be a whole, diversion into political history, but you're absolutely right, because after the breakup of the Soviet Union, EU almost immediately admitted these Baltic countries,
Right.
which meant for everyone else that was part of quote-unquote the Iron Curtain, that became the ultimate aspiration. Right? To be left out of that project really did mean for them that they would be considered beyond the pale,
Right.
because now they didn't belong. Even if people may have found themselves at odds with, in resistance to, and sometimes in actual battle against the Soviet regime, that was still an ideology that, as a great idea, somehow held them in check, right? So when that disappeared, they had to find some other great idea to affiliate themselves with, and the idea of Europe was the most obvious and most geographically proximate.
Right. Had to find like power vacuum. They always had a bigger brother.
Yeah.
Now they need a different bigger brother.
In a way, or at least that sort of grand project that you feel like you collectively belong. We all need that, right? That especially when we think of ourselves as collective. It's not enough to most people to think, in a like libertarian fashion, all against all, we're all individuals.
Right.
Once you submit yourself into a collective, it's always easier to think of a bigger one that you would be also connected with.
You can have the prize, Junior.
Not only you can, you should.
Yep. More prize. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just meeting up with a old friend from high school. I haven't seen him since high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the way back from high school and now in Romania.
Yeah. He left Australia in, I think, about 2018, 2019. So it took him a little bit longer to make the same decision. But we hadn't contacted each other. I mean, we were really best friends in high school, but we just didn't have good mentors at the time. And whoever I looked to, both recommended not to see each other anymore over stupid stuff. petty stuff. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but we'll meet up again. Just,
Well, you know, I mean,
he's still into the same stuff. We were still, our interest is still relatively aligned. He's still making speakers in his spare time. Still very curious about sound. I don't make them, but I'll buy them.
that's even better. You know, you'll be giving a friend business.
Well, I buy stuff off the shelf. I don't know if I'll buy some speakers from Romania. It's quite the challenge. It's very heavy. But yeah, it's we still have aligned interests. We now have a shared distaste enough of Australians that we will no longer be part of that country.
Look, I
It
think
took him a long time to get there. I mean, so the reason he didn't leave when I did, he still really bought into like politics. He really felt that like if just the right wing would win, that would be enough to make the country tolerable. But the reality was the right wing had won many times, especially when we were growing up, and they were the ones who did the worst things. Like all the non-right wing stuff, like take away all the guns, that was done under a right wing government.
in Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like
I never thought
an
of that.
extremely solidified quote unquote right wing government. Like he was Prime Minister, John Howard was Prime Minister, I think 4 terms. Elected, like it wasn't a dictatorship or anything like that. It was just he seemed like the right guy for 4 terms in a row. And he's the guy.
Yeah,
who did it.
for
And he was
some-
re-elected twice after the gun ban.
That's total of 6 terms.
No, 4 terms in total, I think. So I think a total of.
After his second term, he came up with this project.
So the terms are 3. No, it was in response to a shooting. And so it was after 6. No, it must have been 5 or 6 because I think it was a total of 16 years in power, something like that. I remember towards the end of it, it's like there's like now a generation of people who have never not known him to be in power. It's like what was happening. But then since that person, since John Howard, there's been just a dizzying array of prime ministers and characters who've occupied that position for sometimes less than a year, and oustings. It's just been. I literally do not know who the current Prime Minister of Australia is. Like, I do not keep up with it anymore. It's that's a lack of care, and it's like, I can't just say who I thought it was like 2 years ago. It's probably very wrong. So yeah, there's no real big difference. Like if you said in 30 years' time that a president of the United States was Clinton, there's probably like a 20% chance. There's a Trump, there's probably a 20% chance. Bush, I don't think so.
Not another Bush.
I don't think there'll be another Bush. It sucked too much. Nobody was like fans at the end of either one.
Honestly, yeah, the Bush 41's downfall was pretty tragic.
Yeah.
Because he was the VP to one of the most popular presidents of all time, at least in retrospect. And I think he wasn't meant to lose that re-election.
Yeah, a little cocky.
Yeah. I mean, but again, like it's almost like an alternate reality at this point. Like when you think of the kinds of things that made people unqualified or less favored as presidential candidates, like checking your watch when you have a town hall meeting,
Right.
somehow meant that you were being disrespectful to the voter. I mean, obviously it's the spin machine, right?
Yeah.
They take one thing.
Well, it mattered so much back then. I mean, I remember Howard Dean's presidential run being completely upended by 30-second hype. 30-second hype.
Yeah,
thing
that
he did.
because he screamed like Archie Luxury into the microphone for about 30 seconds.
Right, and it was merely because he sounded unhinged. Like what he was saying was just like, we're just going to go to all these primaries and countries. I mean, not primaries and states.
He was
Cities.
essentially excited about having won one of the most important early primaries in the American election cycle. So I mean that.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm in some part of downtown. I'll catch an Uber back when we're done. So are you done? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
That is Aussie Expat. That is Oz Junior. I am Young Rainbow.
Okay. All right.
I think it was Mrs. Expat on the phone.
Yeah, Mrs. Expat is doing like a Korean spa day. So.
I mean, that's one of the, one of the curiosities in Los Angeles. For sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't know. But I mean, some of them are.
But I will be an EU citizen again soon. I've got an Irish passport on the way. Yep.
Wait,
That'll be handy.
EU citizen again, you said?
Yeah, because I've always been a UK citizen,
Right,
but
because
that lost its EU status, I think, a few years ago.
that's right, I kind of
So
forgot.
I got un-EU citizens, so I sought out my Irish citizenship. Yeah, it's coming soon. So my dreams of retiring in Spain can be reinstated.
That was once every Brit's dream.
Right.
And many have realized it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of flow leaving England. I think it's really quite sad. I do picture myself going back. I spent some time with Professor last year, just a weekend, but it did remind me of a lot of the things I like about England. You know, just being able to walk around. It literally looks interesting. You know,
Right.
It's it's fun. It's low key for the most part. There's a lot of things that work well for England, but if one of those things is earning a living, why not? It's a pretty good place. Just very hard to live there. Very hard.
I'm sure the tax situation is not very amenable.
Yeah.
Coming from Nevada.
Yeah, coming from USA, it's not fantastic. I don't know. I think the wages are just very low compared to the costs. Is really all it is. It's very low compared to the costs. And there's only one explanation for that. It's like there's just way too many people. Like labour is cheap, despite it literally being expensive. Quote unquote. Labour is ultimately people, and it's very expensive to have a person in England. And there's just too many. I think they really didn't pump the brakes when they had the option. It's just tough. It's really tough. It's a super tiny island, and it's not even all of the island. It's not like there's 60 million people evenly spread out and 35 million on Scotland. You know, it's like hyper concentrated down there, all there in the south. And it's rough. It's really tough.
I mean, look, to give like a very pedestrian, simple to understand example, when you look at the Premier League, right? There used to be a whole northern dominance. I mean, I guess you can count Manchester City still part of that, and they're to that sort of dominant position. They're a relative newcomer, but it used to be like Newcastle was really good. There was Middlesbrough, of course. Man United dominated a good stretch of the early Premier League. Now it's like what 7, 8 London teams in the Premier League,
I was like,
and they all have historically, they have all had some sort of following, and I think that's still the case. But they're also gaining a global following now, and it's strange that everything is somehow absorbed by that metropolitan center in terms of sheer numbers.
Yeah. I stayed in London one night, and I was like halfway between central London and the M25. I don't know if you know what the M25 is, but it's this circular freeway that goes around London. And the idea was that if you needed to get across London, you could take the M25 around. Yeah, it's a circle and not a straight line, but at least it's not cutting through the middle. But it's honestly so big. it's like countryside. Like they've drawn the circle too big.
Right.
like it's really far out. Like they wanted to prepare in advance, but really maybe they should have made it a little bit tighter and then had the M25 where it is now. It needed to be another ring. It's a little bit closer because anything like the idea was, I think originally was about anything inside the M25 is Greater London. But it just kind of isn't the case. It's really too big.
At any rate, I think that people continue to be concentrated. It's not necessarily expanding in that outward fashion.
Yeah.
Like you said, there are just more people in the same space.
Well, I think when I was there, living there in like the late 2000s, they were moving the BBC out of Whitehall in London to another city. I don't even remember what city it was, but I think the majority of the BBC, quote unquote, moved out. Now, how much of that has been replaced with all sorts of different private studios and stuff like that, I don't know. But sort of London centrism has been a big topic for the people in the UK, like forever.
So what you're excited about trucks in general, Junior? You like big trucks? You took him a couple of times to a monster truck derby or something.
Yeah, quite a few times. At the moment he's more into Minecraft more than anything. Yeah, the monster truck still gets a rise out of it. It's mostly Minecraft, which is good. It's all accessible, a little bit cheaper as well. Like the monster truck stuff is like, it's not that cheap. It's not that expensive, but yeah, it's certainly a luxury. So yeah, I'm happy that he's getting into a lot of Minecraft. So am I. I play a lot of Minecraft.
Yeah.
With him. It's been a real joy.
So what do you have planned for Watches and Live? What do you do once you arrive there? Are you gonna actually attend the show?
Yeah, so I don't have show tickets. There's a couple of evening drinks that are hosted by a couple of brands. I think one's Zenith, the other one's, I can't remember what the second night was. So Monday, Tuesday, the evening is kind of covered. Monday is, or is it Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday is Philippe Patek tour. I think it's a tour, not the museum.
Yeah, I think it's the handcrafts exhibition that they hold concurrent to the show on a yearly basis, and it's always bound to be very interesting because look, Patek made its headway into the mainstream with their sports watches in the last few years. And it's known to most serious collectors even.
Yeah.
With their complicated pieces.
We already know it.
Yeah. There's a few other shows in town, like there's a more micro-brandy one.
Yeah.
I think there's a more independent one. I haven't signed up for that one yet.
I think the independents also occupy part of the convention center too. Like, you know, they're given
Right,
some space.
right. But I think there's also another straight up different event at the same time.
Yeah. The AHCI, I think,
That's it.
puts together
That's it.
another event.
That's it. Yeah. So there's
The
a few,
academy, so to speak.
yeah. So there's a few around, but I have not signed up for that one. I'm not as concerned. Like honestly, I would find it a little boring to just be on the show floor of a watch thing. But if I was there with a friend or something, that's what on my own is what I'd struggle a little bit to that captivated.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, it's a little boring. I had that in watch time, you know, the days that I spent mostly with other people, you know, even when we were on the floor, were much more interesting than going on my own to the different stands.
Yeah.
You know, it was, yeah, it's just like, you know, you take a few videos to post on the channel or something.
Yeah.
After
Yeah,
that,
but even that, it's like it's pretty dry. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm very keen to get some food. Just go to the bakery each day.
That's what one thing Europeans certainly have. They have good bakeries on every street corner.
Exactly. So I expect my Airbnb to be one of the cupboards just full of bread after the first day. Second day, I'll empty it and fill it up again.
I'm not much of a bread person, you know, that even though my eating of hot dogs might run counter to that, I'm not a huge fan. But
Oh, really?
I like a few pastry products.
Yeah, so the pastries, the thing about pastries is I think that isn't as unique as in there are good pastries in America.
Yeah,
You can get good pastries in America, but getting good bread,
I think that's
like it's another level. Yeah, I don't.
that's partly what the home baking bread craze was
It's
about.
getting
I
there.
think during the pandemic. I think
Right.
that's
Yeah, my
that was a
wife
gap.
started doing sourdough. She's got this like cast iron loaf thing, and like it is pretty good. Like she's making it pretty good, but they still don't actually get close to what I was getting in Zurich, where you know the bread, the crust is so hard that you could knock someone out with it. So yeah, it was not of that level, and I'm not exactly sure how it happens. But I remember the first time I had my first half rot in Zurich, and it was about this size of a bun. And the very first time I bit into it, I thought, like, how these assholes have found like the oldest piece of bread to give me, and like how am I supposed to eat this? Like I had my Carlsberg in a thing here, I had my bread, and I couldn't get through it. You know, I was just like, what are they doing to me?
So did your teeth get more, you know,
Accustomed
stronger?
to it. Yeah. You gotta. There's certain techniques. You can't just dive into it like the soft breads we're used to further west. You know, you can't just just haphazardly attack it with your lips and gums. You have to like sort of chisel away at it and get leverage. Leverage it doesn't also result in you pulling out some of your own teeth.
Which might always happen.
Well, you got to get the molars onto it. You sort of like, it's like you can't. If someone said to open a bottle with your teeth, you wouldn't be literally trying to bite through the top of the cap. You know, you'd be trying to very gingerly, like trying to find an easy leverage point to get it up, to tease it apart. And even then, it can be dangerous.
That's like Swiss bread for you.
Yeah. You need.
But once you crack that outer shell, it's good.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out. You gotta use your hands. You can't just dive into it. It's not a simple affair. So that'll be the highlight, and then the fact that so many people are going, it's good. And it does look like there's going to be a pretty decent amount of kumbaya. It's not explicit, but there aren't separated groups within the watch community. At the moment, they're not all literally in the same WhatsApp, but like 80% of the people are in the same WhatsApp, same two WhatsApps. I think there's obviously the one ostracized streamer that we won't mention, and I haven't seen his name appear anywhere, thankfully.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And one I will mention, Bird Brain. He seems to have sort of come and gone, thankfully. It was like final nail in the coffin came, I think, Thursday.
Oh yeah,
last
recent.
week. Yeah, where he was kicked out of the WhatsApp for the Geneva trip.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, that
Yeah, I
brought
mean,
some relief.
Look, I really, I genuinely don't follow. I think most people, at least in the beginning, thought that I was just brushing it off. But when I left it behind, I left it behind.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, not necessarily always with bad feelings towards people at all. But, you know, it was just, for me, you know, especially when I try to create something, and I use it, you know, very loosely here, you know, not any grandiose way.
Yeah.
You know, you need a certain energy for that. And if you are constantly around people who sap your energy,
Yeah.
and that might not even be their fault, you know, that might be the way they make you feel.
Right.
It's just not good. So for me, that's what people like Bird Brain and even Archie are about. Like, you know, Archie from a distance, I can still perhaps enjoy, not that I have any time, unfortunately, to follow his content, but I cannot be part of his group because that's, you know, I just don't operate that way.
I think for the problem with the Bird Brain is like he's done stuff that's just so bad in the last year that he needs to apologize for it, and he's just driving a rift in the community that would be there in Geneva. So that was my concern. It's like, look, I have no idea why anyone is inviting him into this space, because a lot of people like are deeply offended, including Archie himself. And like Jamie Opulence is quite outspoken. I was just sort of like, I just wanted to wait and see, but I didn't want to be in Geneva and have groups of people not being together because of literally one person that no one loves.
And again, I'm just going to generalize at this point because I don't want to single out or even name some of these people by the name. But there's so many people in that live streaming community and in rival channels to Archie as well. Let's put it that way. Who either don't have the conscience or at least self-consciousness to express regret and genuinely apologize, or who are so shameless that they would rather, you know, the best they can do is present like a litany of excuses and rationalizations around their behavior, and they want to just get away with it and want everyone else to move on. You know, sometimes people do certain things that you don't want to move on from. Sometimes you need a genuine recognition and apology, and it's not enough to just say, hey, you know, it's just entertainment. Well, you know, you make your money and you're living out of it, so it's not just entertainment. This is some serious stuff. And you know, people like Bird Brain, people like that other person we won't mention, people like that other German person we won't mention. You know, those people are actually working in orchestrated ways to take away other people's living from them.
Right.
That's something serious. Right? That is a serious thing. And that I think for that you can't apologize. I think when you take away bread from someone else's table, you know, we were talking about Swiss bread. It's not, you know, I won't accept an apology about that. You are cut out from my, you know, life forever, and that's fine.
Loose Tooth is asking, is it the globalist?
Is
that the globalist?
Yeah. That first, the American-based person, the American-based person You guys know I haven't even finished my beer and I'm already pissed drunk up there. That is the person you're naming. The other guy, yeah, I won't answer. Yeah. German. You know how many obnoxious, narcissistic Germans do you have in the watch live stream in the world? You'll figure them out.
That's actually interesting. We don't actually have that many Germans full stop.
Which is strange.
It's not duplicates.
Which is
you know?
strange because
Because it's a huge country. I mean, there's a large UK contingent.
and
Very large.
almost all of them are quite fluent, if not simply competent in English as well.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. I don't know if we have that many French.
Why do you see it?
We got
Not
Swiss from the French side of Switzerland, but not French. A bit odd. I wonder why that's the case.
maybe they have their own communities. I don't know. I don't really know the francophone sphere of watch live streams.
Yeah.
If it exists, how big it is.
Well, that guy, Mark Gebauer, does that ring a bell? He does watch content too, often in German language.
The name does sound sort of familiar.
Okay, well, he recently moved to Las Vegas, so it's not long ago, but he still does do German language content. But yeah.
Why not?
Of course, there's L.
Yeah, Jenny L and
Jenny
her
L.
husband, Jenny L does English mostly, I think. Her husband does mostly German, which I think is actually an ingenious division of labor when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because, essentially, they can bank on the same kind of knowledge, same pool of content.
Yes.
And,
I
and
got
deliver
you.
it to. Sorry. And you can essentially, make content for two different kinds of audiences. Because it's not, seriously, it's not just a different language, when it comes to these kinds of things. It's literally a different. People ask for different things in different languages, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not. When you come to niche content, it's not necessarily universally.
Yeah. It's so that's really interesting. Look, I don't know much about Germans. My best friend lives in Germany, so I try to understand German culture via him. I don't know how they would react to the whole luxury Hermes Rolex thing, because it's the whole thing is about nuance and not like hard and fast rules. And as best as I can tell, the Germans rules are their culture. And I don't not try to be derogative in any way, but I mean it's like their culture, as in that's their expectation. It's not. And you could say that America is a place, for example, that is like there are no rules. Or if there are rules, they're meant to be broken. It's like, how do you break them, and how often do you break them, and how long can you break them before you get the rule changed? Like that's the culture. Like an app like Uber, ironically, wouldn't have been have found fruitful ground in Germany. By flaunting the rules of local, state, and city governments, and just saying we're going to ride until you stop us, and then when you stop us, hopefully we're too big and we'll have enough money to change the rules.
Which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's the thing that you can do in America, but you can't. Like that's just culturally not a thing that would fly in Germany.
Funny enough, we were kind of talking about, like in one of the earlier vertical streams, we were talking about Phoenix spreads in a loose way, and how the example that comes to mind of the successful kind is, of course, Alan Gonzune, the German brand, classically based, and we were thinking about what makes a brand like that successful, at least in creating their own niche in catering to a specific kind of audience who appreciates the nuances you're talking about, the kind of artisanal workmanship that they put into their watches. But I was also thinking, like, that they have to literally cultivate a very unique style, almost a recognizable signature, inside out. Like, their movement tries to at least call to mind the architecture of, Saxonian pocket watches, with the three-quarter plates. The case construction was meant to be, inspired by something more utilitarian, at least tool-looking. The dial is positively Teutonic, so it's supposed to be. It's supposed to look that way, right? Some people don't like the asymmetric look, whether we're talking about the Lange 1 or the placement of the chronograph registers in the chronographs, whether we're talking about the Datograph or 1815. But or like a lot of people despise their so-called sports watch, the Odysseus. I like it.
I can't understand it. I can understand it being their most popular model.
Literally.
But like genuinely popular, as in like that, like over premium. I mean over MSRP.
That's just because it's very limited.
Right.
But I think I thought when you said you can't understand it, I mean, to me, I can understand it from within that brand, because it's like, whatever bone you have to pick with that watch, whatever you want to nitpick about or you don't like, one thing you can't say about that watch is it is not recognizable Lange. You can't say that. Like it's Lange through and through. You can scrub that dial of the naming, Lange, and you'll still immediately tell that's a Lange watch. And that's something they get right across the board. They are very recognizable. You can learn to hate that recognizability.
Well, I've not met anyone that has that on their list. There's a lot of people who do want a Lange, it's like their grail, but I've not met anyone that said the Odysseus is their grail. But I like that about the brand, that the people who like that brand like what they have. And it's not like Patek where a lot of the people that aspire to it only want a Nautilus. And that the vast majority of everything that they make, including any kind of complication, which is almost the entire brand, is sort of like undesirable.
That's a great comparison, because first of all, because the brand was basically rejuvenated with the aim of providing an alternative to Patek. So if you're going to compare one by one, apples to apples, comparing Alan Gonzone to Patek Philippe makes a lot of sense. But where that analogy breaks down is that the contemporary Patek customer almost never buys a Calatrava to buy a Calatrava. It's always a beginning of the journey, the first piece, entry into the brand, and with the ultimate aspiration really to get a Nautilus, or maybe an Aquanaut, like a complicated Aquanaut, the dual timepiece, or maybe a chronograph. But almost, at least, we can always stay humble and say, like, these are the people we know. This is our anecdotal base. But I have, to this day, and I will insist on this, I have never met someone who bought a contemporary Calatrava actually to buy a Calatrava. I've never met someone like that. Whereas when people buy a Lange, whether that's the Saxonia Ultra Thin, Lange 1, it's almost always what they want. And sometimes they're just satisfied with that. It's not their first or second or third piece to get the series.
Patek sort of like I sort of like tried to look for my like 40th piece, and I am the nard about Patek and AP. I think I've come to terms that I'm not that enthused about a Royal Oak time only, but I really like the chronos now.
You do?
Yeah, I really like Royal Oak chrono, not Royal Oak offshore chronos.
But what they have on offer now.
Yeah, out of contemporary lineup, I really like the very industrial look of the hexagonal pushes. Like just that whole array on the right, a little bit of complexity on the dial. I think it gives it enough visual of like, it just looks too plain to me, like just
I really like the green dial of that, specifically because of its subtlety, because it's kind of like, Rolex's gray is still sunburst, so like, when the light hits that green sunburst style of the Hulk, for example, it's a lot. But this Grand Tapisserie version of what they call khaki green,
I guess
it's, for the most part, it just registers black. And at the right angle, it's a beautiful green dial, but still quite militaristically inspired. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Patek, the Aquanaut looked really ugly. It isn't a story of this is a watch that nobody wanted at some point. Now they do want it. They made changes that turned it from being abjectly horrible to positively neutral. In terms of, it doesn't look okay. And then the Nautilus is, I won't criticize it, like as in, it doesn't do enough for me, but I can see, especially in gold.
Yeah, he came out of it like, I just reminded me.
But it's just, none of the complicated versions really add a lot to it. A lot of, like, for example, 5990 is like way too thick. I'm just not seeing like what's there to like in there. Like I wouldn't walk into a dealership because there's nothing else that they're making, and the Cubitus just makes me not want a Nautilus.
But again, in retrospect, Royal Oak Offshore seems to be actually a genius of sub-branding at the end of the day, because Nautilus 5990 is basically Nautilus Offshore. It's so different in terms of the wrist feel, proportions, and complications of the watch that it bears a family resemblance, but shouldn't really belong to the same product line. Whereas a model like 5740, for example, the ultra-thin perpetual calendar with the micro-orbit movement, white gold, extremely limited application piece, whatever, that sits very close to the simple time and date version because it represents that somewhat chic, somewhat sporty, ultra-thin elegance, which is mostly inspired by a dress watch, even though it has a nautically inspired and very sporty design. So you're absolutely right. That when it comes to complications, a lot of what you can find in a Nautilus case is not necessarily within the spirit of that original design. And you can say that about a lot of the Royal Oak Offshore line, but it has existed for so long and so independently that it's its own thing, and it's been for such a long time. Are we getting ready to leave slowly?
Yeah, I think so. We should wrap up soon. My wife's sort of figuring out the end of last things to do at the spa. So
Of course.
It's not worth it.
This was great, quite unexpected for me. I mean, the live streaming part. We have planned this for a long time, and we have specified the date. We had specified the date for the last few weeks. So it's great that we could finally get together and meet and live stream together in the same physical space for a change. So guys, please, before you sign off, don't forget to hit the like button. After the stream finishes, feel free to drop a comment or two, and check out Aussie Expat's own channel, of course, at Aussie Expat. I'm glad they instituted that handle system.
Yeah, it actually makes sense.
At Aussie Expat, AUSSIE Expat, EXPAT. All right. I even ate on the stream, guys. Look how far I go for you to create first-class entertainment. Thank you so much. Goodbye for you.
Thank you, everyone. Oh,
I haven't gotten used to this part.